Hey everybody. My name is Jack. I am 24 years old, and until the night I am about to tell you about, I thought I was as straight as a plumb line. I played it straight, I talked it straight, I dated straight. I also worked out every single morning, kept my hair styled, and smiled at strangers like I had somewhere important to be. People called me attractive a lot. My friends made fun of me for it. I shrugged it off and got on with my life. I worked a steady job, kept my apartment clean, dated casually, and prided myself on being the guy in the group who always had a plan and a backup plan. What I am about to tell you is true, at least as true as memory allows. I have changed a few names even though nobody asked me to. I just think it is the right thing to do. Let me take you back to the day everything started. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. I had just finished a long shift at the office, kicked off my shoes, dropped onto my couch, and reached for the remote control. The plan was simple: pizza, cold drink, a game on the television, total silence. No drama, no complications, no surprises. That was the kind of life I thought I had built. That is when my phone buzzed. The name on the screen made my stomach drop before I even picked up. It was Alloy. Alloy had been my best friend since we were 8 years old. We grew up on the same street in a small town nobody outside of our county had ever heard of. We stole bicycles together, got in trouble together, smuggled cigarettes we never even smoked out of his older brother's drawer. We shared every awkward first, every embarrassing secret, every fight and every makeup. He was 26 now, a year older than me, and he was the only person on earth who had seen me cry when my grandfather died. I had seen him cry too more than once. I answered. His voice cracked on the very first word. "Jack," he said, "I do not feel good. I really do not feel good." "How bad?" I asked. "Bad, brother. Bad. Fever since last night. My whole body feels like I ran a marathon in a swimming pool. I can barely stand. Nobody is home. My parents are on vacation, my sister is out of town. I am alone in this house and I think I need a doctor." I was already on my feet. "Send me your address, bro. I am coming to get you. We are going to the hospital together. Do not try to drive. Do not try to walk. Just stay where you are and keep the door open." "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you, Jack." I grabbed my keys, my wallet, and a light jacket. I did not even bother to change out of my work shirt. Within 10 minutes I was behind the wheel, windows down, city lights sliding past me like a slow home movie. The streets were wide and quiet, the kind of quiet that lets your brain talk too much. I ran through every worst-case scenario, told myself to stop, and then ran through them again. I will never forget the moment I walked into Alloy's house. The door was unlocked, just like I told him to keep it. The living room was dark. The curtains were pulled shut. I could hear the TV playing some cartoon at low volume, the kind of show we used to watch together after school, back when we were kids with no money and no worries. "Ally," I called out. "In here," he said weakly. "Bedroom." I followed his voice. He was lying flat on his back in bed, sweating through a faded t-shirt, shivering even though the room was warm. His eyes were half closed. His skin had that pale, almost gray look that nobody ever wants to see on someone they love. His favorite blanket was twisted off to one side like he had tried to pull it up and given up halfway. I sat on the edge of the bed and put my hand on his forehead. It was burning up. "Okay, soldier," I said softly. "No more tough guy routine. I am taking you to the hospital right now. Can you sit up for me?" He tried. He really tried. But his arms gave out halfway and he slumped back into the pillow. He could barely lift his own head. His lips were dry. His breaths came short. "It is okay," I told him. "I got you. Lean on me." I slipped one arm under his shoulders and the other under his knees. He was heavier than I remembered, but I did not care. The weight felt honest. I carried him out of the bedroom, through the hallway, past the framed photos of us as kids on the wall, down the front steps, and gently laid him across the back seat of my car. I buckled him in. I adjusted his head against a folded jacket so he could breathe easier. I closed the door softly and whispered, "Hang in there, brother. We are almost there." The drive to the hospital took about 20 minutes. The roads were weirdly empty, like the whole city had cleared out to make room for us. I kept one eye on the road and the other on the rearview mirror, watching him breathe. Whenever he winced, I winced. Whenever he closed his eyes a little too long, I said his name just to hear him answer. When we pulled up to the emergency entrance, a nurse came out with a wheelchair before I even had the engine off. She helped me lift Aloy out of the back seat and onto the chair. I told her everything. Fever, weakness, no vomiting but no appetite either, no known allergies, no regular medication. She nodded, wrote it all down, and wheeled him inside. I parked the car, locked it, and followed them in. Within 15 minutes, a doctor walked into the exam room. His name tag read Dr. Samuel. The first thing I noticed was how tall he was. Easily over 6 feet, maybe 6'2". Broad shoulders, narrow waist, the kind of posture that makes a white coat look like it belongs on a magazine cover. His skin was smooth and warm. His jaw was sharp. His eyes were a deep brown that almost looked black under the fluorescent lights. His hair was dark, pushed back just enough to look effortless, with one tiny stray curl at the front that he kept tucking behind his ear. His lips were soft and full. His hands, when he lifted them to write, were steady and clean, with long fingers and short, neat nails. He could not have been older than 32. 30, maybe. There was no way he was any older. He had that rare kind of youth that some men carry into their 30s like a secret, the kind that shows up in the small things, the way he stood, the way he smiled, the calm in his voice when everybody else around him was rushing. He glanced at me first, gave me a respectful little nod, then turned his full attention to Aloy. He pressed his fingers against Aloy's neck, checked his pulse, lifted his eyelids one at a time, listened to his chest with a stethoscope that still had the little plastic tag on the end of it. His movements were gentle, almost tender, like he was handling something breakable. "He is severely dehydrated," Dr. Samuel said calmly, looking straight at me. "Fever has been running unchecked for too long. We are going to admit him for observation. He needs an 4 drip, at least 1 bag every few hours for about a week. If we do not do this properly, his body could crash. He could end up with damage to his organs. We are not going to let that happen." My heart sank. A whole week in the hospital, away from work, away from my apartment, away from my own clean little life. "A week," I repeated. "At least a week," he confirmed. "I will be monitoring him personally through every shift. You have my word he will be in safe hands." I exhaled slowly. "Okay," I said. "Whatever he needs. I am staying right here." Something shifted in the doctor's eyes. It was the smallest thing, a flicker, like he approved of what I just said. "Then come with me," he said. "I will show you around." He walked me down the corridor, past the nurse's station, past the vending machines, past the waiting area with the crooked ceiling fan. He showed me where the cafeteria was, where the restrooms were, where the chapel was for anybody who needed a quiet minute. He explained visiting hours and quiet hours. He pointed out the small family lounge with a couch and a kettle for coffee. He talked clearly, slowly, never once looking at me like I was a nuisance. He treated me like an actual partner in my friend's care. By the time we circled back to Aloy's room, the nurses had already started the first 4. Aloy lay there with his eyes closed, one hand resting on his stomach, the other arm stretched out on the pillow. The drip bag swung slowly above him, dripping clear liquid into his veins. His color was already a shade better. "He is going to sleep now," Dr. Samuel said quietly. "His body needs it. Stay with him if you want. Sit near his bed. Talk to him if he talks back. If anything changes at all, you come find me." "Where will you be?" I asked. "My office is right down the hall. 3rd door on the left. The name on the door is mine. You knock, I open." "Thank you, Doc. Really. You are welcome. Take care of yourself too, Jack. You cannot pour from an empty cup." I liked that he remembered my name. The first night was long. I sat in a plastic chair beside Aloy's bed. I watched the drip bag empty one slow drip at a time. I watched the little numbers on the monitor behind his bed jump up and down. I held his hand when he squeezed mine in his sleep. Around 3 in the morning, a nurse came in, checked his vitals, smiled at me and left. Around 4, Alloy opened his eyes for a minute, looked at me, whispered, "Thanks, bro," and drifted back off. Around 6, the sky outside the window shifted from black to gray to the softest blue. I had not fallen asleep, not really. I leaned my head against the wall and closed my eyes for what felt like 5 minutes but was probably an hour. When I opened them, Dr. Samuel was standing in the doorway, watching me with that same calm expression. "Morning," he said. "How is our patient?" "Sleeping," I said. "Stable, I think. The nurses came in twice." "Good. That is good. The first bag is done. I am going to swap it out and check him again before the day shift takes over. You can stretch your legs, get breakfast, fresh air. I will be here." "I will stay," I said. He gave me that small smile again and nodded. The morning drifted on. Alloy woke up properly around 9, sipped some water, managed a few bites of a plain toast, and fell back asleep with a calmer face. By noon, he was awake long enough to scroll through his phone and tease me about looking like I had been hit by a truck. We laughed, the first real laugh in that room, and the sound bounced off the walls like a small mercy. By evening, the first 4 bag was empty. A nurse came in, removed it, said the doctor would be by shortly to start the next round, and disappeared. A few minutes later, I realized that was my cue. I told Alloy I would be right back, walked down the hall, and knocked on the 3rd door on the left. "Dr. Samuel." "Come in," he said. I opened the door. He was behind his desk, half turned toward his computer, that white coat hanging off the back of his chair, so he was in just his dark fitted shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. His forearms were strong and tan. His watch was plain, expensive looking. The office smelled like clean soap and something warm I could not name. "The drip is empty," I said. "They said you would handle the next one." "I will," he said. "Give me 2 minutes. Finish this chart first." I nodded and stepped inside, closing the door behind me. The room was small but neat. A bookshelf lined one wall. A framed degree from a medical school I had only heard of in movies. A small plant on the windowsill that looked healthier than any plant I had ever owned. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. "You have been on your feet for almost 24 hours. "I am fine." "Sit anyway." I sat. He finished typing one last line, clicked something on his screen, and stood up. He rolled his shoulders back, the kind of small stretch someone does when they have been hunched over paperwork for too long, and walked toward me. "Coming?" he asked. We walked back down the corridor together. Alloy was awake, propped up on his pillows, watching some cooking show with the volume too low to actually follow. Dr. Samuel smiled at him, checked his chart, prepped the new 4-line with steady hands, and slid the needle into Alloy's arm so gently that Alloy barely flinched. "All done," Dr. Samuel said. "Sleep whenever you need to. I will be back to check on you in a few hours." Alloy nodded, looked at me and mouthed, "He is a good one." I smiled back. On the way out of the room, Dr. Samuel paused by the door. "How are you holding up, Jack?" "I am okay," I said. "I am worried about him. I am more worried about his insurance paperwork than I want to admit." He laughed, soft and low. "That part one cannot fix. But I can promise you this. He is in very good hands. I do not let things slip under my watch." "Thank you. Seriously. I owe you one." "You owe me nothing," he said. "This is what I do. This is what I signed up for." I walked him back to his office out of habit. I did not even think about it. Felt like the polite thing to do. He opened the door, gestured for me to come in again, and sat on the edge of his desk rather than behind it this time. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Sure. Have you eaten today?" I thought about it. I had not. "No," I admitted. "Stay right here." He left for a minute and came back with a tray from the cafeteria. A sandwich, an apple, a bottle of water. He set it down in front of me like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Doctor's orders," he said. We sat together while I ate. He asked me small questions. Where I worked, whether I lived alone, what I liked to do on weekends. I answered all of them. Something about being in that small quiet office with him made honesty feel easy. I did not try to impress him. I just talked. At some point, mid-conversation, I caught myself staring at his neck. There was a small vein right at the side that pulsed a little every time he spoke. I did not even realize I was staring until he noticed. "You are looking at me a little funny," he said, smiling. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said quickly. "Sorry. I was just looking at your posture, your fitness. Honestly, Doc, you do not look 32 at all. Your build, your skin, your energy. By God, you are in ridiculous shape. I think I have become a fan of your fitness. Any tips for a guy trying to keep up?" He laughed again. That warm, quiet laugh that seemed to come straight from somewhere deeper than his chest. "Jack, you are going to make me blush. I just try to be consistent. That is really all there is to it." "I am serious," I said. "I want a few tips. I have been trying to build a routine that sticks for years. I always fall off. You clearly figured something out." He tilted his head, studied me for a second like he was reading me, and then said, "Come by my office later tonight, after this drip is in and your friend is sleeping. I will walk you through a real plan. Simple stuff. No secrets, no fancy tricks. Just what I do." "Are you sure? I do not want to take up your time." "You are not taking up my time. You are giving me a reason to use my own advice for once. I should follow my own plan more often." I smiled. "I will be there." "Good. Now go. Sit with your friend. I will see you tonight." I went back to Aloy's room. He was half asleep with the cooking show still murmuring in the background. "You took a long time," he mumbled. "I was talking to the doctor. He is something, right?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "He is something." The afternoon passed slowly. Aloy slept more, ate a little more, complained a little less. By the time the hallway lights dimmed for the evening, his face had color back in it. His jokes were sharper. He was going to be okay. I was sure of it. Around 9 o'clock, with Aloy finally dozed off and the new drip swinging steady above his bed, I slipped out of the room and walked down the hallway. I knocked on Dr. Samuel's door. "Jack, come in." "Door is open." I walked in. He was sitting at his desk again, but this time he had his coat off, sleeves rolled up, top 2 buttons of his shirt undone. Just enough to see the line of his collarbone. He gestured at the chair across from him, and I sat. He closed the door behind me. Not all the way, just enough to give us the smallest bit of privacy. "First question," he said. "How is your friend doing?" "Better," I said. "He is sleeping." He ate half a sandwich without complaining. Color is back in his face. "Thank you. Really. Whatever you did today worked." That was not me. That was his body remembering how to fight. "Okay. I will give the body some credit too." He smiled. Then his face shifted into something more serious, more curious. "Can I ask you a personal question, Jack?" "You can ask me anything." "Are you single?" The question landed out of nowhere. I blinked. "Yeah," I said. "I am single. I had a few girlfriends in college, but nothing serious. Since then, honestly, I have been busy. Work, gym, friends, the usual cycle. I have been thinking lately that maybe it is time I actually go looking for someone to settle down with. I do not want to keep living alone." He nodded slowly. "What kind of person are you looking for?" I had to think for a second. It was not a question I had ever asked myself out loud. "I want someone who is caring," I said. "Loving. Someone who actually pays attention to me. Someone who checks on me. Someone who treats me like I matter, not like I am just another body in the room. Someone who makes me feel like a kid again, in a good way. The way it felt when my mother used to brush my hair before bed." He sat very still while I talked. "That is a beautiful list," he said softly. "You know, Jack, those kinds of people are not rare. They are just outnumbered by the rest. Keep your eyes open. The right one is closer than you think. Maybe even closer than you realize." I looked at him. "You sound like you have experience with this." "I have experience with everything," he said. "I am 32. I have lived a full life already." I did not know what to say, so I said nothing. I just looked at him. He looked back at me. Neither of us blinked for what felt like a small eternity. Then he broke the silence. You are staring at me again, Jack. Sorry. Do not be sorry. Tell me what you are thinking. I am thinking, I said slowly, that I have been sitting across from you for less than a week and I already feel safer than I have felt around anyone in a long time. Something shifted in his face again. That flicker from earlier. Only this time it lasted longer. Jack, he said very quietly, you can tell me anything. I am not here to judge you. I am not here to fix you. I am here to listen. I felt my heart slam against the inside of my ribs. I had no idea why. I had no idea what was climbing up my throat. But I knew I could not hold it back any longer. Doc, I said, from the moment I saw you, something in me changed. I cannot explain it in clean words. There is this feeling in me that I have never felt with anyone before. It does not really make sense in my head, but it makes sense in the rest of me. I think I feel something for you, something I have never felt for anyone. I think I have been running from it the entire week, and I am tired of running. The room went very still. Dr. Samuel did not flinch. He did not look away. He did not laugh. He leaned forward, put his hands flat on the desk, and watched me with those deep brown eyes for a long 3 seconds. Then he said, in that same calm, steady voice of his, Jack, thank you for telling me that. What you are feeling is real. It is honest. The heart does not always act on a schedule. Feelings are not something we control. They come. We just have to decide what we do with them. What do I do with them? You do not have to decide anything tonight. You do not have to label anything tonight. You just have to be honest with yourself and honest with me. That is enough for now. Then he stood up, came around the desk, sat down on the edge of it right next to my chair, and very gently reached for my hand. Jack, nobody in this building is going to bother us. Nobody is going to interrupt us. Nobody is going to make you feel small for what you just told me. You are not broken. You are not strange. You are just a person who finally said something out loud that he has been holding in for a long time. I am proud of you for saying it. He stood up, closed the door all the way, locked it, and walked back to me. Now tell me the rest. Whatever you want to say it. I am not going anywhere. I swallowed hard. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. I do not know how to say this without sounding crazy, I whispered. Say it however it comes out. That is the only way it gets out. My heart has not stopped racing since you walked into that exam room. When you talked to Aloy, I watched your hands. When you touched his forehead, I imagined your hands touching mine. When you walked me down the hallway, I kept counting how many steps it was before I could hear your voice again. When you sat across from me at lunch today, I kept thinking about how much I wanted to reach across the desk and just hold your hand. I do not know what this is. I have never been here before. I have never wanted anything like this before. Dr. Samuel exhaled slowly. He sat down in the chair right next to mine. He took both of my hands in his. Look at me, he said. I looked. You are not crazy. You are a human being who is opening up for the first time in his life. That takes more courage than most people will ever understand. I want you to know that this room is safe. Whatever you want to say in here, you can. Whatever you want to feel in here, you can. Whatever you want to be in here, you can be. I am not here to label you. I am here to listen to you and to help you breathe. Can I come back tomorrow? I asked. You can come back tonight if you need to, he said. Any night. Any time. I am right down this hall. Third door on the left. You knock, I open. Thank you. You do not need to thank me. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Promise me you will let yourself feel what you feel. Do not run from it. Do not shove it down. Do not pretend it away. The day you finally let yourself feel it, you are going to fly. I nodded. He walked me to the door. He opened it. Before I walked out, he put his hand on my shoulder. He squeezed it once, soft but firm, and let go. I walked back to Aloy's room in a daze. Aloy was still asleep, breathing steady, the drip bag swinging above his head like a slow metronome. I sat down in the plastic chair beside him, leaned my head back against the wall, and stared at the ceiling. I could not get Dr. Samuel out of my head. His face, his voice, his hands on mine, the way he said my name. The way he locked the door and made me the only person in the room. The way he told me I was not broken. The way he did not look at me like I was a problem to be solved. Within 20 minutes, I was out of my chair again. I walked back down the hallway. I knocked on his door. "Jack?" He called from inside, half asleep. "Is your friend okay?" "He is fine," I said. "He is sleeping. I am the one who needs treatment. Cannot sleep. My brain will not shut off. Get in here." I opened the door. He was lying back on the small couch in his office, one arm draped over his eyes, his shirt untucked at the bottom. He sat up when I walked in. "Door," he said simply. I locked it. He stood up, walked over to me and put his hands on my shoulders. "Talk to me." "I cannot," I said. "My brain is on fire. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face. Every time I try to breathe, I hear your voice. I do not know what to do. I want to feel something that makes all of this make sense. Then let me help you slow down." He took my hand. He placed it flat against his chest, right over his heart. "Feel that?" he asked. "Yeah. That is a steady heartbeat. That is what calm feels like. Now feel yours." He pressed my other hand against my own chest. My heart was pounding. I could feel it hammering away like it was trying to escape from inside me. "Your heart is racing, Jack. Do not fight it. Let it race. Let it tell you what it wants to tell you. Once it says what it needs to say, it will slow down. I promise." Then he did something that I did not see coming, and I will never forget it for as long as I live. He leaned in, slid one hand behind the back of my neck, and kissed me. It was a slow kiss. Soft, deep, the kind of kiss that asks a question and waits patiently for the answer. His lips were warm. They tasted faintly of the coffee he had been drinking earlier. My entire body went still. My hands, which had been shaking all night, suddenly went perfectly calm. My heart, which had been hammering like a drum, settled into a slow, steady rhythm. Something inside me that had been clenched for years quietly let go. He pulled back, looked me in the eye and said, "Better." "Yeah," I whispered. "A lot better." "Good." That was the first round of treatment. Tomorrow night, same time, second round. We will take it slow. We will take it careful. We will not rush anything that is worth keeping. I smiled like a fool. I could not stop. "What was that?" I asked. "Treatment. That is my special treatment," he said. "Reserved for special patients. I think I need that treatment daily, Doc. I think I need it for the rest of my life." He laughed. "We will talk about that tomorrow." He stood up, walked me to the door, opened it. He kissed me one more time, just once, just long enough to leave a soft, warm imprint on my lips. He let me go. I walked back to Aloy's room like I was floating. I sat down. I laid my head back. I closed my eyes. Within 5 minutes, I was asleep for the first time in 2 days. I slept straight through the night. No dreams. No tossing. No turning. I woke up to sunlight pouring through the blinds and Dr. Samuel standing in the doorway with 2 paper cups of coffee. "Morning," he said. "How did you sleep?" "Like a baby," I said. "Thank you." "Good. Your friend woke up 20 minutes ago and asked for a full breakfast. That is a good sign." We walked in together. Aloy was sitting up, smiling, color back in his face, joking with the nurse about how he was ready to run a marathon by the weekend. "Doc," I said, "whatever you did, please keep doing it." He looked at me with that little flicker. "I will," he said. I spent the next full day with Aloy. We talked about old times. We talked about family. We talked about the embarrassing stuff we did as kids that nobody else knew about. We laughed until my stomach hurt. The nurses brought him lunch. The doctor came in twice to check his vitals. Each time he came in, he and I shared one of those small, quiet smiles that nobody else in the room could read. By the afternoon, Dr. Samuel came back for a final check before his shift ended. "Your friend is doing incredibly well," he said. "He is going to be ready to leave in a couple of days. I want you both to maintain the diet plan I am going to give you. No junk food for at least 2 weeks. Lots of water, lots of rest, light walks every day. Follow that and he will be back to 100%. Thank you, Doc, Aloy said. Anytime. The doctor turned to me. Jack, I have a quick word before I head out. Walk with me. We stepped into the hallway. I am finishing my shift, he said. I am heading home. If anything changes here tonight, you have my personal number. Call me anytime, day or night. Do not sit there worrying alone. If you need me for any reason at all, I want to hear from you. Thank you, I said. He handed me a small card with his number printed neatly on the back. I slipped it into my pocket like it was a piece of gold. He smiled one more time, gave my shoulder that same soft squeeze from the night before, and walked away down the hallway. I watched him until he turned the corner and disappeared. The next 2 days went by in a blur of normal hospital routine. Aloy got stronger. His drip was reduced. He started walking short laps around the floor with me at his side. By the second morning, the doctor officially cleared him to go home the next day. Doc, can I stay one more day? Aloy asked. I want to be 100% before I leave. Of course, Dr. Samuel said. Take whatever time you need. I will sign the discharge papers tomorrow afternoon. That night, after Aloy was asleep, I sat in the plastic chair beside his bed and stared at the door of Dr. Samuel's office down the hall. My eyes kept drifting back to it, like a compass pointing north. I caught myself checking my phone every few minutes for no reason. I caught myself reading and rereading the little business card in my pocket. I caught myself standing up, sitting back down, standing up again. I had become completely addicted to that man. The sound of a car pulling up outside broke the spell. Through the small window at the end of the hallway, I watched Dr. Samuel step out of a clean, dark sedan. He stretched his shoulders, ran a hand through his hair, and walked inside. I watched him walk past the nurse's station. I watched him wave hello to the night nurse. I watched him turn the corner and head toward Aloy's room. I could not stop smiling. He walked in, looked at Aloy first, checked his chart, took his vitals, gave him his evening injection. How are you feeling, Aloy? He asked. Honestly, Doc, I feel like a brand new person. Good. That is exactly what I want to hear. He turned to me. Jack, can you come down to my office for a minute? I want to go over the medication schedule with you. Sure. We walked down the hallway together. I stepped into his office first. Before I even turned around, he closed the door behind me, reached over, and locked it. Then he pulled off his shirt. I went completely still. I had never seen his body before. I had imagined it in the small spaces of my day, but I had never really seen it. Now, in the warm yellow light of his office, I saw all of it. His shoulders were broad and smooth. His chest was tight and even the kind of chest that comes from years of careful work, not just one summer at the gym. His stomach was flat, with the kind of soft lines that come from being real and not from being cut out of a magazine. His arms were strong. His skin was a warm golden tan that seemed to glow even in that harsh overhead light. Jack, he said gently, do you want the nightly treatment again? Yes, I said. Yes, please. He walked over, stood right in front of me, and slowly lifted the hem of my shirt. He placed his hand flat against my stomach and slid it slowly up over my chest until the shirt gathered just below my collarbone. He leaned in, pressed his lips to my chest, and kissed me right over my heart. I closed my eyes. My whole body relaxed. My heart slowed down. Something inside me felt warm in a way I had never felt before. How do you feel? He whispered. Like the most stable I have ever felt in my entire life. Good. That is what this treatment is for. He kissed me one more time on the chest, gently pulled my shirt back down, and walked me to a small couch in the corner of his office that I had never noticed before. He sat down. I sat down next to him. He put one arm around my shoulders and pulled me close. I leaned my head on his shoulder. Within seconds, my breathing was steady again. My mind was quiet. My heart was calm. Jack, he said, I want you to come back tomorrow night for the next round. I will be here. Good. We sat like that for almost an hour. We did not talk much. We did not need to. He stroked my hair with one hand and held my side with the other. I closed my eyes and let myself feel the thing I had spent my whole life running from. Felt like flying. Felt like the safest thing in the world. When we finally stood up, he walked me to the door. He unlocked it. He kissed me softly on the lips. "Tomorrow," he said. "Tomorrow," I said. I walked back down the hall like a man walking on water. I looked in on Aloy, who was snoring lightly with the TV still playing some cooking show. I sat down in the plastic chair beside him, leaned my head back, closed my eyes, and smiled until I fell asleep. I woke up the next morning to sunlight again, to Dr. Samuel standing in the doorway again, to 2 paper cups of coffee again. "Good morning, Jack." "Good morning, Doc. How did you sleep?" Like I was in the safest place in the world. He smiled. "That is exactly where you were supposed to be." Ally was cleared to go home that afternoon. The doctor came by one last time to sign the discharge papers. He sat down next to Ally's bed, went through the diet plan, the medication plan, the follow-up plan, the list of small warning signs to watch for over the next few weeks. He did it all with the same calm, clean patience he had shown me from the very first day. "Thank you, Doc," Aloy said, shaking his hand. "You basically saved my life. You saved your own life, brother." I just kept the door open. Ally looked at me. "Jack, you coming? Give me 5 minutes." He nodded, grabbed his bag, and walked out with the nurse who pushed his wheelchair to the lobby. I walked with Dr. Samuel back down the hallway to his office. "Thank you," I said, "for everything. For him. For me. You do not have to thank me, Jack. Just take care of yourself. Take care of your friend. Eat well. Sleep well. Live well. I will. Call me if you need me. I will." He put one hand on my shoulder, that same soft, firm squeeze, and let it linger for a moment longer than before. "Take care of yourself," he said again. "I will." I walked out, met Aloy at the lobby, drove him home, helped him into his house, made him some soup, and sat with him until he fell asleep on his couch. I walked out to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and looked down at the little business card in my pocket. I picked up my phone. I typed his number in. I stared at it for a long minute. I told myself I would call in a few days. I told myself I would let things breathe. I told myself I had time. I did not have time. None of us ever do. That is why I am telling this story now. I am telling you this story so that if you have ever felt something you cannot explain, something you have been afraid to say out loud, something you have been running from your entire life, you hear me. I am telling you this story so that you know the heart does not always follow the rules. It does not always do what we expect. It does not always do what the world says it is supposed to do. If you have ever felt an accidental spark like this, an accidental closeness like this, an accidental connection like this, you are not broken. You are not strange. You are not alone. You are just a person who finally let himself feel something real. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had an accidental moment like this in your life? An accidental spark? An accidental closeness? An accidental connection that changed everything? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If you like this story, please like this video, share it with somebody who might need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next one. Your support is the only reason I get to keep telling these stories. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Jack.